Hi, it's Carrie Kenner, and welcome to my weekly vlog. Last week, I was talking about mission statements, and one of the things that I said is that a mission statement is not goals. It does not include goals. But this week, that's all I'm talking about goals. Pandemic, I learned this goal setting process from Donald Miller, who's the author of Story Brand, which is a method of copywriting that is my favorite and that I use all the time. And Donald Miller has created all sorts of books and all sorts of things, and I really love his work. And one of the things he talks about is he does talk a lot about mission statements and all sorts of things business related, but he talks about this goal setting process that he uses. And he's been extremely successful in life. So I kind of pay attention to what he's using for goals when deciding how I'm going to do my own work. So, what I love about this goal setting process is that it starts really weirdly, and I love things that are weird. It starts off with writing your obituary. Okay. So you start by saying, at the end of my life, this is what I want people to be saying about me, which is really powerful when you think about it. And right now, I'm in the midst of planning my mom's memorial service and writing her obituary. And let me tell you, it would have been really cool if she had written some of these things. She actually wrote a lot of family history that has gone into the service and the obituary. But, anyways, I wrote my obituary, what I hope to accomplish in the rest of my life, so that these are the things that are said after I'm gone. It's like it's like destructuring, is that what it's called? Destructuring your legacy. So um, I highly encourage it. Some people think it's really morbid. I don't know. I think it's really empowering. So take it or leave it. But you start by writing your obituary, which might be a page, maybe a page and a half, 2 pages of what people would be saying about the impact that you made and the things that you're known for and the things that you did in your life and the things that you were proud of and that you really enjoyed. It's really lovely and uplifting. You can also write about some of the ways you screwed up and things like that, but it's really more about celebrating with the things that you did do. Okay, so you start with that, and that should take you a good hour or so to really think about what is it that you want to accomplish. Not in a, I mean, it couldn't be how much money I want to make or, what kind of work I want to have done, but it's really more about impact and personal accomplishment. Okay. And then the from there, so that's where you start. And then from there, you start to figure out how much time do you have left to do those things if you haven't accomplished all of them already. So I was 60 when I started writing mine, and I plan to live until at least I'm 90. So I had 3 more decades to fill, 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah. And then, of course, there's everything that I had already done. So, what I did, and this isn't necessarily in his framework, but this is what I recommend, is take your life and put it into 10-year chunks, so decades. So, what were you doing in the first decade of your life? Like, what were the things that emerged from your life, like your personality or your place in the family or your status as a student or something like that? What were the talents maybe that you discovered? Okay, so that's your childhood. And then from 10 to 20, you're becoming, your identity is forming and becoming a young adult. So what were the things that were emerging during that time? And then from your 20s to 30s and so on. So each decade, and these are like one paragraph. So it's really a summation of what came from you, what did you discover, what were the themes in those decades of your life, getting you to the present. And then the fun begins, because then you start to say, okay, if this is what I've done so far, this is who I am, what I've accomplished, but this is where I want to go before I die. What's that going to look like? Again, in 10-year increments. So this helps you to start to figure out the trajectory of what you want your life to be. And remember, this isn't all about work and kind of social accomplishment. This is about inner peace, um, uh, the development of self. Like, I want to have time to do certain things when I'm done working. I want to use that time in certain ways. I want to volunteer, give back to my community, be an elder, be able to offer my wisdom in certain ways. So that doesn't look like what kind of job I'm going to do. It's more about the quality of life and what I'm going to do with my time. So kind of mapped that out for each decade. And then what you then focus on is the coming decade, the decade that is sitting in front of you. Okay. So now we really start to set goals. In 10 years, if I am on this trajectory, what do I want to accomplish? Okay. 10-year goals. So that could be big things. That could be, buying a house, building a house, creating a farm, changing careers, having children, traveling. So big goals. So you get those defined, and you don't have to do a lot of detail around it, just setting it out. Now, I divided my 10-year goals into sections. The first section is career. Now, even though I don't plan to be working until I'm in my 90s, I also still in a way do plan to work. I mean, like, what is my work in the world? So career could also be kind of identity or um, yeah, it could be whatever you might be working on. So there's career goals, and then there's family and community goals. What do I want my role in my family to be or in my community? What do I want my family to look like? How do I want to be engaging with my community? Things like that. And then spirituality. So, what do I want my spiritual development or activities to look like? Okay. Now, one of the really fun things, and this is a Donald Miller thing, is he's a storyteller, as am I. And he talks about climatic scenes, which is the da, 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 in any movie, any book, it's the big changing point, the big thing that happens that suddenly makes the story become a real story and leads you to the resolution. So for each decade, you have a climatic scene. What's the big thing that's going to happen in those 10 years that's going to influence career, family, community, spirituality? What's the thing that's going to move you forward, that's going to get you closer to those nuggets that people are going to be writing about or saying about at your memorial service? So it's foreshadowing the climatic scene, the big thing you're going to do in those 10 years that's going to really move you towards that vision you have of yourself. Okay. So now you've got your 10-year goals. Then you're going to start making a little bit more manageable, because we can't really do 10-year goals. They can be SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, but they're hard to do today because they're a little bit too broad. So now we're going to start taking it down to 5-year goals. Okay, so if I want to accomplish X, Y, and Z in 10 years, what do I need to accomplish in the next 5 years to really move me towards that goal? Okay, move me in that direction. So you set your 5-year goals, which are usually just smaller versions or smaller pieces of the big 10-year goals. And then from your 5-year goal, then you have a 1-year goal. Okay, this is when we're getting to the nitty gritty. What am I going to accomplish this year that's going to get me closer to the 5-year goals, which are going to get me to be able to accomplish the 10-year goals? The 1-year goals turn into a 1-year action plan. And for me, it's a spreadsheet, and it has all the goals I want to accomplish in 1 year. They are all specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. In my spreadsheet, it says, what's the goal? Are there other people that I need to help me with that? When's the due date for that thing? What are the smaller kind of goal posts within that? And then a place where I kind of keep track of how I'm doing. Now, do I accomplish all of my 1-year goals? Hardly. No. They move into next year's 1-year goal. So every year you are creating new 1-year goals. Now, you're not creating new 5-year goals every time. At least the way I do it is that I'm working on 5-year goals at a time, and I've got 5 years to do those. And I am absolutely readjusting, editing, revising, pivoting, all those things within when I sit down to make the next year's goals. Some of the things from last year are on my list this year. Some of the things from this year are going to get off the list completely because the longer term vision also gets to change. You know, yeah, how much is kind of up to you. So your 1-year goals becomes this, like the things you're actually going to try to accomplish in this year. And then with those, you're going to break those down into monthly goals. Now, one of the things that I recommend in setting those annual goals is that you spread them out over the year. Some things are going to be more achievable because of the seasons. Sometimes they're going to be more achievable because you have to do one thing first before you can do the next thing. So you kind of want to spread them out, have due dates that flow throughout the year, because that's going to then help drive your monthly goals. So for your monthly goals, it's obviously that this is what I think I can accomplish this month. And when you're now we're getting to the things that start to guide what we're doing on a daily basis. So I have daily goal sheets. Every day of the year, I have a goal sheet that says, here's what I'm going to do today. These ones are fairly fluid because it's life, like the daily stuff is the life stuff. I take every month, I take my monthly goals and I turn them into weekly goals. And then those weekly goals become my daily goals. Every week on Sunday night, I sit down and I look at, okay, here's my goals for the week so I can accomplish all my monthly goals. Therefore, what do I have to do every day this week? And what's really important is to include not just work stuff. Like you might have goals around health or fitness or relationships. All those things get equal relevance on your goal sheets, on your daily sheets, your weekly, your monthly, your annual. Like all those things should be included because we're whole people, we're human beings. We have all these things that put together are going to help us achieve that legacy that we have put out there for ourselves. So let's see, let me tell you about the daily sheets. The daily sheets include kind of a little bit of a schedule. So there's a general schedule that I have for a day, like I wake up, I meditate, or I try to, I say my prayers for the day. I, give gratitude to the universe and my ancestors, and I try to go on a walk 5 times a week, so those kinds of things are also on my sheet. And then appointments, errands that I have to run. I don't have bills on there, but you could have, these are the bills that need to get paid today. If you have appointments, to get the kids to, all that kind of stuff, those things would be included. And then, of course, work tasks if you're a working person. And those might be just like projects that you're working on, but what is the one thing on that project that you're doing that day? So these things need to be very task oriented. So it might be write 5 emails or draft this thing or make 18 widgets or, those kinds of things. Anything that doesn't get done today gets moved onto the next day or someplace in the week. So if the next day I know I got, it's already jam-packed, it's going to go to, the following day, but I'm going to try to get those things done within the week. So again, this is fluid. Now, here's the most important thing that anyone who accomplishes things in life will tell you about goals. You must check them every day. You must review them every day. You must say to yourself, here is what I'm doing today because this is what I'm working towards this year, this decade, and this lifetime. So when you're able to put the nitty-gritty daily details into a larger context, it becomes meaningful. The context becomes meaningful. The daily task becomes meaningful. And I think what most human beings want is meaningful lives, a meaningful existence. I want to know that the shit I'm doing today matters for something, because Sometimes it's hard to remember that, isn't it? Sometimes it feels like, why am I doing this stupid stuff? But when we remember that we are moving ourselves, our families, our communities towards something bigger and grander and better, that we're going to be proud of, that we're going to be looking down when we're dead at what the people are saying about us, we're going to say, ah, good thing I checked my daily goal on March 4th, 2024. Okay, probably won't be saying that, but you get my point. Okay. Um, if you are interested in what I'm talking about and would like me to walk you through it and give you the templates that I use, I would love to do a workshop on this. I've hinted around that I wanted to do that, and I've seen a little bit of interest, but I really would like to do this because it's so fun for me. Okay, I'm the kind of girl who likes to fill out forms and check boxes. So that's why I like this kind of stuff. If you don't, you're probably like, oh, this sounds absolutely horrible, Carrie. But if you are interested in this, if you're intrigued about writing your own obituary, if you are interested in how can you take your life's goals and bring it down into something that you could be working towards on the decade, on 5 year, on the year, on the daily, um, I'd love to create something. So would you please reach out to me? You can email me, you can put a comment on this video. You can, I don't know, how else can you reach me? I think those are the main things, but reach out. I would love to get something together and share with you this part of my life that I've been doing for 4 years now since the pandemic, and that has just brought me a lot of guidance. Okay, that's what I've got for you this week. I hope you were motivated or inspired, and thanks for being here.